Got it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dan and Brandon Show. We call ourselves the Underground News. We're going to bring you news nobody's heard. We're going to bring you news from our perspective. For today, our first episode, we're just going to introduce ourselves. I'm Dan Dawson. I've lived in Lakewood, Washington for 20 years. Before that, I was born and raised in Texas. This is my buddy, Brandon Cornell. We've known each other, Jesus, how long now, Brandon?
Since at least 2004 or 2005, something like that.
It's a very, very, very long time. So,
Yes.
Yep. So if you'll go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised Lakewood, Washington. When I got about 28, I moved to Eastern Washington, and I learned a lot. Back when I was in Western Washington, I was a diehard Democrat. That's all I knew. I moved to Eastern Washington, which was primarily a red state, red side of the state. And slowly and surely, I learned there was a different way of things being done. And just for the last 5 months, I moved to Florida to as ready to be.
Yeah. So me and Brandon were talking before the show, and as Brandon said, see, we come from a very unique perspective, right? We were both diehard Democrats. I was a union officer, a union leader for years. And it just stopped making sense to me. Here, Brandon just said he moved to Florida 5 months ago. I'm in the position of moving to Texas. I already have a place down there. I'm just waiting for the place to open so I can finally get out of here. But it was because of the things we saw. Because the tricky part about liberals and Democrats is the things they say sound good. Am I right, Brandon? Nobody should be homeless.
They absolutely do sound great. Sound amazing.
Yeah. Nobody should be homeless. Everybody should have money. Nobody should be hungry. Those things sound great, but they come with a cost. And so when you look around the blue areas, I was telling Brandon today, I was driving down the street, and he knows where it's at. It's this one little, I convinced it used to be a hotel, right? Little strip of apartments, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchenette, a bath you can barely turn around in. It's starting out at $1,000 a month. It's ridiculous, and it's just gotten too hard to live here. I mean, and that's the reason Brandon moved 5 months ago. He moved to Florida. He moved to a red state. That's the reason I'm moving to Texas. I'm moving to a red state. Now, I tell you, Brandon, one thing I do fear is that because of all the Democrats leaving, and I see it all the time on Facebook because I still have Democrat friends, liberal friends. I just don't follow them because I don't like seeing their stupid little stories and their stupid little ideas. But
exactly,
they're living in these red states, but they're still espousing the liberal mythology of give everybody everything and everything's going to be okay. Are you seeing that down there in Florida?
A little bit. However, like Miami-Dade, that is blue. That city is blue, very blue. However, they still don't have the nonsense go off because our governor, DeSantis, put a law out, or basically, let's say if the people decide to riot and Miami says, you know what, we're going to defund the police and we're not going to stop the riots. And let's say those rioters cause damage. The governor made it so that the civilians can sue the government, the city government, for losses for not protecting and serving the community. So we don't have
that's the way it should be. Look at all the destruction costs of Seattle. I mean, yeah. I went to Chop Chaz. Remember they had that very exclusive Mercedes. No, it wasn't Mercedes. What was it? Aston Martin dealership down there. It was either Mercedes or Aston Martin. It was some car I'll never be able to afford. They had broken all the windows out, pretty much burnt it down. All these shops are boarded up, and it's just getting worse here in this blue state. And I finally reached a point. I'm telling you, Brandon, I walked in the house one day because, you know, I've been talking about moving back to Texas for what, years now? Since we used to work together at that shithole that will go unnamed so we don't get sued. But we'll just say it's the largest mental health hospital west of the
But
Mississippi. But I walked in one day. I was like, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not gonna do this. It was ridiculous. What was your breaking point that made you say, "Hey, I'm done. I'm leaving"?
leaving the state or leaving Washington or leaving the
Leaving
job?
this, leaving the state. Well, the job too. Yeah.
Leaving this
Which I'll
job.
give
I
you
had
that. You were
telephone thrown
smarter
at
than
me,
me.
but
You were
I had a
smarter than me on that.
payphone. Yeah, no, I had to bounce after that. No, leaving the state was I couldn't afford to live. I was working 70 hours a week, and I was sitting in an attorney's office getting ready to go down the road of my third bankruptcy because I just couldn't afford to do anything. And I was like, I'm tired, sick and tired of being broke all the time, sick and tired of uh what a 3-bedroom apartment was going for $1,800 a month. And
Oh, it's even more now, brother.
yeah, I believe it. It just keeps going. And I was just like, I couldn't catch up. I couldn't get to a comfortable level. And so I started looking around, and I looked between Texas, Florida. And the only reason Florida won in the was the beaches. That's the only reason I came
Hey,
here.
now, brother. I'm a diehard Texan. We got beaches in Texas too. It's not all desert.
Yes,
You could have
do.
moved down on the Brazos. We could have been river rafting.
Exactly. Well, it just came down to cost and who offered me the job. So I got the job offer to Florida, and that's where I went.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's kind of what it was for me. It was, and me and Brandon talked about this before this episode today, and it was, I realized I have 7 brothers and sisters. Besides for my sister Sandra working a little bit of overtime to put her son through college because she wanted to pay all cash, none of them have ever worked a ton load of overtime and have never worked 2 jobs. And so I told you, I jumped in my truck one day and I said, you know what? I'm tossing my guns in here, which I have a funny story for you about getting pulled over in Phoenix. And I'm going down to Texas. And like I was telling Brandon earlier, as soon as I hit Texas, I started saving money. The bottles of liquor I buy up here because we have all these taxes. So up in Washington, well, Brandon, you were here when it started.
Yeah,
They had all these taxes to the liquor, to the gas, property taxes, school taxes. We got the transit tax. They've told most of the roads. I don't know if you were here, but I don't know if you had already left, but this year they've started tolling the roads in the city of Seattle in the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, because they're going broke.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Because
it doesn't, and nothing ever improves. Brandon, when was the last time you were in Seattle?
4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, last August.
So Brandon, that's almost a year, brother.
I know, time flies.
Were the homeless encampments there when you were there?
Yes, they were around. But I did my best to avoid them because, yeah.
Brother, I did a signing for a guy who owns a what do you call it? Hair studio, right?
Okay.
Brother, you can't avoid them now. They're everywhere. They're in the middle of the city. And this was an affluent neighborhood. Dude was doing well, right?
Yeah.
And they're right across the street. It got so bad. Now when I have I won't take signings in Seattle now. But for a while, I started carrying my pistol to go to Seattle. Because that's how bad it's gotten. I had to walk past one across the street. And I just parked across the street. I had to walk through this upscale salon. That's what they're called, salons. And I had to walk through a homeless camp to get into his shop. I'm like, how's your business doing? And he was complaining about it. And I'm like, and it just all built up on me. Because when you work where we worked, and I only live a couple of miles from where we worked, I didn't really get a chance to see it all until I went into business for myself. Then I got out, started seeing the state, and it was just like, I can't stay here. I can't do it, brother. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. Like even Eastern Washington doesn't have it over there because they won't allow it over there. They won't allow it, so it's not there.
Well, yeah,
No
and
reason
settle.
it's going to-
Well,
yeah.
see, in the blue states, not only do they allow it, they encourage it.
They do.
It's very much encouraged, and it's because what people don't realize, and I forget who it was. I want to say it was either Joe Rogan or Tim Pool. Those are the two guys I watched the most. I'm thinking it was Joe Rogan, but I don't want to misalign Tim Pool because it may have been him. He did this whole thing, one of them, on how the politicians make money off the homeless people. The more homeless they have, the more money they get.
Okay, that makes sense.
Even in the city of Seattle now, they're building RV parks because people can't afford the places. I was telling you today, I went by the one place, one bedroom, $1,000. That's ridiculous. I go down to Texas and I pick up a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath. They take care of all the lawn care. It came with all stainless steel appliances for $1,100. And the guy was apologizing to me because the rent was so high.
Yep.
All I could do was laugh. It's like, okay, but this is not high, but keep going the way you're going.
Yeah, like me, I got a really nice 2-bedroom duplex, got 1 bathroom, but I'm on a golf course, and I'm paying $1,000 a month to live on a golf course.
You're not getting that up here, brother.
No,
You're not getting that up
not
here.
at all.
If you want to live on a golf course up here, I have a golf course a couple of miles away, and my duplex is actually fairly expensive, but that's only because the property manager, I've been waiting for 11, 12 years, and this place was going to be 22, 23. He talked to the owner knocked it down to 16. But other than that, you're paying easily 2 times that.
Yeah,
maybe 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. It just, for me, it became unaffordable. And those are the type of things that people aren't talking about. Well, they are talking about them. Okay, they are. The problem is they'll talk about them. And I have friends on my Facebook who've moved to Florida, who've moved to Texas, but still espouse their blue ideology. And it's like, that's kind of one of my fears, is that you'll turn Florida or Texas blue. Shit, then I might have to come back to Washington. Move to Mexico.
Well, I know I just watched the news episode 2 days ago about they were talking. It was about Austin, Texas. Austin is a blue city. It's always been a blue, but it's they're talking about how the homeless encampment is all over the place. The homeless camps are taking over Austin. There's needles everywhere, and even the Democrats are saying that they've learned their lesson, because the mayor of Austin is just letting the homeless camps just have a free-for-all.
Oh, and they defunded their police. The police, the famous Austin city limit signs. I mean, there's songs about it, right? The police posted or put up a billboard saying, "Welcome to Austin. You're on your own."
Sounds about right.
That's how bad it's getting. Houston's getting the same way. But you go to little country towns like College Station, and when I say country town, I told you the story about in Texas, our country towns are big. Yes. So I was telling you about comparing UW to the Texas A&M satellite campus. So UW is a big campus,
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I'll give it probably 250,000 square acres. Maybe more. It might be up to 3 or 4, honestly. It's a big campus. The Texas A&M satellite campus is 1 million square miles. That's ridiculous. But it's because when taxes are low and people can actually work and earn a living, they tend to spend more. When you spend more, the economy grows more. Now, when you're being choked off to the point to where gas is $4 a gallon, your property taxes are 3-4 times higher than they should be.
Yes, we talked about that. how you said, what is it? The cost of gas in Washington is $3.80 right now. You said
87 cents. Yep.
87 cents, and right now in Florida is $2.70. Let me go Gas Buddy, gasbuddy.com. They'll give you a good yeah. And we were talking about, they have the gas prices up so high in Washington because they say it's for roads and all.
Oh,
But
the roads.
are
Oh my,
horrible.
Brandon. That was another reason I stopped working. I stopped doing signings in Seattle. It was destroying my vehicles. And I don't have little small vehicles. I have big sturdy SUVs and trucks. But the roads are so bad there now. I was having to get alignments if I went to Seattle 3-4 times, I was having to get an alignment because my tires would be straight, my steering wheel would be like this. That's how bad the potholes are. That's how bad the roads are getting. And you already know the streets are so razor thin up there.
Yes.
And there's something else I noticed on my long journey to Texas driving. Blue cities don't really have a place where you can pull off if something happens to your car. It's razor thin. They don't have. That occurred to me. I drove through Portland.
Okay.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Drove through Sacramento. Brandon, the 5 in Sacramento goes up over the city, right? And no shit, I had to do an emergency swerve because there was a spot in the road where there's this big hole and there's nothing but rebar. And I'm driving by, I swerved around as I'm driving by, you can see completely down to the next bottom of the road.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's ridiculous. LA, of course, I don't have to say anything about LA. It's a shithole. And then I got into Phoenix. Oh my God. The highway in Phoenix, it's like driving on a road of gold.
Florida's like that all over the place. Florida, like, there really is no rush hour. Now, inside the cities, yes, you're gonna have busy traffic. It's this. I think Florida is the third most populous state in the country. I believe I believe only California and Texas beat it in population, and the freeways are open, completely open. You're not jam packed in with one another. You got plenty of space. Even our city roads are 6 lanes wide each direction usually. And everything's fixed. There's no potholes. There's nothing like that, and they're continually building more.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Everybody always says, well, it's because of the weather. Well, it doesn't rain much in LA. It's a shithole. But it's the politics of the left. Up here, here's leftist politics for you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I thought I had that volume off. Let me fix that so that doesn't happen again. But up here in Washington, we had the sexual predator, and something told me something was wrong. The school set up this thing at the library where this guy would come in. He's a trans, right? Parents weren't allowed. That should have been your first clue, right? Parents weren't allowed. So 2 parents set up a hidden camera, 2 ladies set up a hidden camera, and he had the kids crawling all over him and doing all kind of crazy stuff. So come to find out, he was a level 3 sex predator. And that's why they didn't have it actually at the school. They had it at the library because he couldn't be near school grounds. That's what's going on here. Now you have a Seattle school superintendent, right?
Yeah.
Who owns a all ages sex shop. Yes, I said that right. Reading books to 6-7-year-olds about how to touch themselves and what sex toys work best on them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what we have going on here. It's
And-
just gotten so, I don't know, it's just gotten so overly bad.
That's another big reason I left, because with the new Washington thing where they're talking about, teaching kids in kindergarten that they can have a sex change and it's okay, which, you know what? When you're over 18, 19 years old and you want to do it, have fun, more power to you. But I'm not going to have no state body telling my kindergartner when he gets that age that he can cut his penis off and become a. I just don't know. That's not appropriate.
Well, the problem is not only that they're telling them, but they're coaching them that. Look,
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade did it. Remember his 11-year-old, 12-year-old went through a sex change.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yes. Yes, it's that whole woke culture. I don't like the woke culture.
No.
I don't like it at all. It just doesn't make sense to me. Even if you look at what's going on now, we're so bamboozled, which is why me and Brandon were saying we want to put stuff out there that people don't necessarily hear about. Take, for instance, anybody hear about China has a China official has come out and said, if America wants to pursue the investigation into the Wuhan lab leak, then we need to build more nuclear weapons to be able to go to war with the United States. You would think that would be all over the news. I haven't heard Don Lemon mention it yet. Of course, I don't watch Don Lemon, so maybe he has, and I just didn't notice.
I haven't heard nothing about that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it came out today. Even look at the how they did Trump when he said this probably came from a lab. I think this came from a lab. I think this came from the Wuhan lab. And anybody that dared to agree with that, you were cast aside. See, that's what's going on in society now. The truth doesn't matter, which is why we're going to bring you the real news in the truth. The truth doesn't matter. It's the agenda. They said there's been a spike in hate crimes this year. But if you look, hate crimes against Asians, when you look, the majority of the hate crimes are being committed by African Americans. Now, for people that don't know, there's a long-standing rivalry in the African American community with the Asian community. That's just a fact. It is. I've seen it. So many things are being put out there, but they're saying it's white supremacy and it's Trump's fault. Unless Trump is no longer what they call him, the head of the KKK. Unless he left the KKK and joined the Black Panthers, I really don't see how that's possible. But he is a quite amazing man. If anybody could do it, he could do it. Trump's like, I am now the head of the KKK in the Black Panthers.
He'd surely make a deal.
I have both groups. But no, it's just stuff like that me and Brandon are going to come on once a week or twice a week or however we decide to do it. Depending on how much you guys like, subscribe, and share. Because hopefully one day we'll be able to go full time. But it's stuff like that we want to bring to you that you're not seeing. Like, take for instance, the crime rate in these blue cities are up an average of 67%. And some cities like Seattle is all over 200%. Take for instance that people know, and a lot of these blue cities now, and here's how they did it, because I saw Seattle do it. So if your city starts to do this, pay attention. They say cops can't arrest people for misdemeanors, which when I think misdemeanors, I'm thinking jaywalking, busted tail light, ran a stop sign, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Then they come along a couple of months later and they pass a law saying sexual assault is now a misdemeanor. Assault is now a misdemeanor. Robbery under, what is it? I think up here, $10,000 is a misdemeanor. It's like you can steal a whole fucking car and not get arrested. And our crime rate, I think, is up 172%. We've defunded our police. I tell you, it's I've done signings for I did a signing for a King County Sheriff's Officer, right? And during these last riots, he was ordered to go into Seattle to toe the line. He said, I'm not going to do it. You can fire me. This guy's only 3 years away from retirement. So your cops are refusing to go into these places. Same thing like we were saying in Austin, Florida. I'll give it to DeSantis down there where you are, Brandon. He's actually being very proactive. He's on it.
Oh, he does not mess around. Not at all. He put out there, if you're thinking about coming here and causing any kind of trouble, he's like, it's going to be a very bad day for you.
That's how it should be. Also saw, did you see what he said about if you're moving from a blue state, remember why you left that blue state?
Yep, he did.
Yep, very good. I love DeSantis, but and that's what people aren't getting. It's just so insane here. It's become unlivable. Take for instance, another perfect example. Now they want to build a light rail. They've been working on that light rail for
forever.
Yes. And it only goes 6 city blocks. They spend multi-millions of dollars on it. Now they're making us pay it out of our car registration. Went to Texas, changed my license plates over, paid for everything. It was $129. The lady apologized. She was like, yeah, it went up a little bit this year. She goes, but next year, all you have to do is pay to get it re-registered. So it would be like $30. I'm like, because you remember our tabs here used to be $35.
Yes.
And then they tax the hell out of them. You get your registration here. You look at the fees. You look at the taxes, and the $35 is still there. Take for instance my 1999 Ford Expedition. I think last year I paid $432 to register it.
Wow, for the yearly tab.
Yep.
Like Florida, it was expensive to switch my cars over. It was expensive. It was $400 each. But beyond that, it is like really cheap. It's like $60 a year, and you can actually get multiple years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like mine, I got mine switched over, and mine are good until 2022. And so,
well, see, and that's the big thing, man. It's just become
they do it on your birthday. Your birthday is your tabs. So
really?
Yeah, they put it so like mine is gonna go bad on July 2022 for me. And my wife, it'll be June 2022. So they give you all that time.
See, that's pretty cool. Up here they don't really do that. Like I said, the tabs used to not be that much, but it's all the small little hidden things that if you're not living in a blue state that you can't see. And the people that have lived here and do see it and still go to blue states and still vote Democrat have not learned a lesson. It's just stuff like that, So I think that's about it for our first show. I would like to thank everybody for watching the Dan and Brandon Underground News Show. Starting next week, we're going to be bringing topics, so please tune in. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Do what you got to do. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Dan.